This is the Healthcare Marketplace Specialization, Healthcare Marketplace Overview. My name is Steve Parenti, and this is Module 1.1.1, Marketplace Overview. So let's get into the healthcare marketplace. It's a very complicated place. It's lots of opportunities, lots of promise, lots of places to make people feel better. We're going to be looking at a lot of different features of this. This is one of an interesting graphic, but the graphic that I really like even more is this graphic. This is from a computer game called SimHealth. It came out actually in the mid-1990s. It was on a DOS 6.0 game, which will date me instantaneously as a professor. It was actually given to me when I was working as a Senate aide in Senator Jay Rockefeller's office, Democrat from West Virginia in 1992-93, and my wife gave me this game as a Valentine's Day gift, and I'm enough of a health policy wonk and nerd that I just love this gift to pieces. So what I loved about this game is that it represented all of the different parts of the health care marketplace. We'll use this graphic a fair bit. Most people just think of it being just a world of physicians, hospitals, insurers, and maybe a med tech or biotech firm. But what you have to recognize is that Congress plays a giant role in this space. The federal government, basically working and giving direction from Congress, manages not just the Medicare program and Medicaid programs, but Department of Defense programs. There's also veteran programs that are there as well. Employers, big business as it were, play a huge role by self-insuring health benefits for Americans, and actually through their actions providing a subsidy to consumers, myself included, of $260 billion per year of uncollected tax revenue for to individuals, for not corporations, to individuals for their health benefits. We'll talk more about the history about that when we get into the class a little more. And so there's obviously people at different income levels in terms of what they do. Main Street America is affected as well. It's just a really complex, but kind of wonderfully complex environment. There's lots of opportunities to understand this market beyond just, what do physicians do and what do hospitals do. And so part of what we will do in this course is talk a little bit about the history of these actors. We'll talk about their interactions. We'll do deeper dives in different spaces, namely the physician market, the hospital market, the insurer market, and the medical technology market. And hopefully from that, give you a much better perspective on how to really understand this market, either for your own sake or for others in terms of new business enterprises. So we talk about this in terms of the major stakeholders in this enterprise, the consumers, that's us, patients who are going to be getting care in this market. There are the providers, and by providers I mean hospitals, physicians, clinics, long-term care facilities. Could be nurses, could be pharmacists, it could be aides inside those groups. Then we get to the pharmaceutical, medical device, biotechnology firms, otherwise I call as med tech as a general group. Insurers that really finance so much of this. That's a major feature in the new U.S. system that you don't see in some of the developing countries, say like with India. Almost everything is a cash-based economy. The U.S. used to be a cash-based economy for healthcare up until the 1930s, but not since then. Employers play a major role, as I mentioned, because they self-insure and really underwrite a good chunk of the money through essentially their cash balance sheets for providing health insurance in the United States today. A lot of people don't realize that when health insurers are actually providing services, they're doing it with cash dollars from their employers. And actually, it's not that the employer is paying a premium, it's that they're just getting that corporation to give you a card, say it's Blue Cross, United Healthcare, Kaiser Permanente, and then essentially let Kaiser or Blue Cross draw directly from their cash reserves to pay for care, and then charge essentially a 10% fee for kind of using with the use of the card of the brand back to that insurance company. Government plays a major role. We'll get into that. Medicare, Medicaid, VA, so many different pieces where the government, and also as a regulatory body for the Food and Drug Administration for patent issuance. The U.S. Patent Office is a major issue in terms of med tech and pharma. We're going to talk about this notion of the healthcare triangle. My training is in health economics. I deal with the notion of trade-offs all the time, and so this triangle is really about the trade-offs that go on between trying to get the most of each of these areas. And by cost, we mean by keeping cost down. In access, our goal is to give you as much access to as much care as you possibly can imagine, and obviously for quality, we want it to be the best possible care you can have. Now, if we just focus on one of these things, something else has to give something else up. And that's essentially a core tenet of economics, that you're basically looking at choices with uncertainty and also with limited or constrained resources. So just to get a sense of a flavor, from 2013, as a statistic, $2.9 trillion, right on the cusp of the $3 trillion mark, is spent in healthcare in 2013, which is equivalent to just under $10,000 spent for each man, woman, and child in the United States. There's 310 million people in the United States. It's a huge number, and actually demonstrably different and larger than other countries around the world. If we look at sort of our longer term trends of where things are, we can see that we're going to be growing even more, say from that 2013 or 2012 mark, going out to 2022, 2023. The purple line shows our share of gross domestic product. We can see that if we compare just our growth in healthcare, the NHE is national health expenditure growth, versus the regular economy's nominal GDP growth, that we have moments where, for the most part, on average, we're outpacing by 1 percentage point or so the GDP growth. And so the thought is, if we can hold to that somehow, that will keep our stuff in line. That hasn't always been the case, particularly in the early part of the 1990s, but it may be that is the goal, and that's been talked about as a policy design for health insurance. So this concludes our first module for this specialization, 1.1.1. Really look forward to you hanging in throughout all of them. You're going to be learning tools in terms of how to value new medical technologies, which in terms of working with students over the really 2 decades is one of the most powerful things we can convey to you as a skill, to really know what's coming, to know what's coming based upon what's been happening in the past, to have some familiarization and confidence about trends that you see, and to take advantage of them by basically speculating with a set of tools over what are the best things one can look forward to for a technology that's entering the market. So on behalf of the Carlson School of the University of Minnesota, welcome.